Friends, today we will start about the braking characteristics, and in this class we will also discuss about some other brakings which are used in traction system. This class is helpful for the 5th semester diploma electrical students. So let us start the class. So if any electric motor is to be stopped, electric supply is to be disconnected. In this way, the motor cell take a long time to stop as the motor cell continue to rotate due to its own inertia. The movement or the amount of time taken by the motor to come to stop or rest depends upon the kinetic energy, and due to its heavy inertia, these are due to this kinetic energy it is gained during running. If kinetic energy is more, it shall take longer time to stop, and if it is less, it shall take smaller time to stop. Sometimes the motor is to be stopped at once to avoid some accidents, or in case of the motor is to be stopped quickly, as in the case of planer at the end of its stroke. Thus, the motor cannot be left to come to stop of its own after disconnecting the supply. So student, we just cannot rely upon the motor that whenever it may come to rest by its automatic retardation. So we have to make some effective braking system such that whenever and wherever we need, it will be come to rest. Some braking system must be used so that it stops within the predetermined short time. A good braking system must possess the following important features. It should be fast and reliable. The braking force must be capable of being controlled. Kinetic energy of the rotating parts of the motor and its driven machine must be suitably dissipated, and suitable means must be provided. Failure of any parts of the braking system must result in the application of the brakes as a protection against some accidents. Following are two types of braking system normally employed: mechanical braking and electrical braking. So, in mechanical braking, the stored energy of the rotating parts is dissipated in the form of heat by a brake shoe or brake lining which rubs on a wheel or brake drum. In case of electrical braking or electrodynamic braking, the kinetic energy of the moving part of the system is converted into electrical energy, which in turn is dissipated as heat in a resistance, or in certain cases may be returned to the supply. Now, the advantages of the electrical braking over mechanical braking. So, let us discuss what are the advantages of this electrical braking over the mechanical form of braking. So, in electrical braking is quite fast. It is quite cheap as far as maintenance part is concerned, due to the fact that no replacement of brake shoe or lining is needed, as in the case of mechanical system. Since electrical braking is quite fast, higher speeds can be maintained. This results in higher capacity of the system. In some cases of electric braking, such as when the electric train is moving down gradient or heavy weight is lowered by the crane, a part of electrical energy produced during the braking period can be fed back to the supply system. Now, this result in saving of the electricity or the saving of the energy is the operating cost. Not is This is not feasible in mechanical braking system. Now, the other points are: heat produced during the period of electric braking is in no way harmful, but heat produced in the lining, etc., during the application of mechanical brakes may result in the failure of brakes also sometimes, because this will exert huge amount of pressures, which is of course not present in case of electrical form of braking. Now, electrical braking is free from fires and is more smooth than mechanical braking. So there are some disadvantages also in electrical braking because every system has its own advantages and its disadvantages. So electrical or electric braking can stop the motor, but it cannot hold it stationary. During the period of braking, electric motor works as a generator, but as soon as the motor comes to stop, the generator or the generating action is stopped, and thus electric brakes do not remain applied when the motor comes to stop. Thus, it becomes essential to provide mechanical brakes in addition to electrical braking. So, in traction system, mind you students, there are two forms of braking. One is essentially mechanical braking, the other is due to its smoother and reliable operation, that is electrical braking is both are applied. Now electric braking cannot be applied to all types of electric motors, thus the choice of electric motors becomes limited. The initial cost is very high. The following types of electric braking are employed. Plugging. Now students, there will be some methods by which electrical braking is applied, and out of these methods you will get one method in your semester exams. It is quite frequently asked, so that is why we can predict that this time also you will be asked about the braking method. So let us discuss plugging. In this method of electric braking system, the connection of the supply to the armature are reversed, so that the motor tends to revolve in the opposite direction, and doing so it comes to rest. As soon as it comes to rest, the supply gets automatically cut off, so that the motor does not start revolving in the opposite direction. At that time, mechanical brakes may also be applied if needed. This method of braking can be applied to both DC as well as AC motors. Plugging as applied to DC shunt motor. The direction of torque developed in DC shunt motor can be reversed either by interchanging the field connection or the armature, whichever you may interchange. Now, since field winding has usually large time constant due to heavy inductance in case of shunt motor, it is the armature current that is normally reversed. So, there is the diagram which you can observe that this is a shunt motor, normal running condition. Now what we do is usually we change the direction of the current in the armature, not in the field. Of course, if you will change the direction of the current in the field also, it will do, but due to its high inductance, the time taken to respond will be higher, so braking will be affected. So what we usually do in case of a shunt motor is we usually reverse the direction of the armature. So this was the plugging method for shunt motors. Now, yes. So braking torque is proportional to the product of flux and armature current. Armature current can be varied by changing the external resistance in the armature circuit during braking period. Braking torque therefore be regulated by varying the magnitude of the resistance inserted in the armature circuit. Now plugging as applied to DC series motor, because we all know that DC series motors generate high speeds, so how this plugging is applied to DC series motor. While applying or while braking DC series motor by the method of plugging, as soon as the current in the armature is reversed, the current in the field also stands reversed. Why? Because they have been connected in series. This result in the production of the torque in the same direction as it was when the motor was working normally. In order to produce torque in the reverse direction so that motor tends to stop, direction of field current should remain unchanged. Now, how we achieve this? So, this is the arrangement in the first diagram, that is figure 9.37a. As you can see, there is a series motor and the field is connected in series. In the second diagram, you can see the field is connected, of course in series, the connection is series, but the resistance is introduced so as to make the reversal of the field current smoother. Now, For the connection we have shown in the figure 9.37 shows the connection of DC series motor before plugging, and the direction of field current remains unchanged, whereas the direction of armature current IA gets reversed, and it is given by in the previous case as in the equation V plus EB divided by R plus RS, where R is the additional resistance connected in series to limit the current, and TB is proportional to phi into IA, because this is a series motor. So it will be now the flux and the IA in the armature current during braking period, or TB, that is braking torque, is equal to K1 phi into IA. Now IA is equal to V plus EB divided by R plus RA. So from this relation we can also write TB is equal to K1 phi whole into V plus EB divided by R plus RA, where EB is proportional to phi into N, where N is equal to the speed in RPM of the motor, and EB is equal to K2 phi N. TB is equal to K1 phi whole into V plus K2 phi N divided by R plus R0. So finally we get a relation that TB, or braking torque, is equal to Ka phi plus K4 phi square N. Now in case of a shunt motor, phi is constant, so K3 phi is equal to K5 and K4 phi square is equal to K6. So braking torque in shunt motor is equal to K5 plus K6N for a given value of resistance R. In case of DC series motor, the flux phi is proportional to the armature current. Therefore, braking torque from the supply is disconnected across suitable resistance, so that the flow of current at any time is not more than the full load current. The field continues to draw current from the supply, but this current is very small. The machine starts working as a generator. The amount of EMF induced, that is EB, shall depend upon the speed. At high speed, at high values of speed, EB is more, and therefore armature current is more. But at lower values of the speed, the armature current is less. Since braking torque is proportional to the product of flux and armature current, and flux remains constant in case of shunt motor, braking torque is directly proportional to the armature current. Now this was all about your braking. Now let us discuss about rheostatic braking as applied to DC series motor. So this is the another form of braking, electrical braking. So in this form, the diagram shows the normal working of a DC series motor with rheostatic braking. As to be applied, the armature is disconnected from the supply and is connected across the resistance R. So let us observe this diagram. So during normal working, this series motor, the field is connected in series, as you can see in your screen. In the second diagram, there is a resistance connected, so this is the wrong connection, and in the third diagram there is the correct way of joining the rheostatic braking. So now let us discuss this process in a brief way. So if after disconnecting the supply, the armature is connected as in the diagram B, the direction of both armature and field currents are reversed. So as you can easily see that the direction of the field and the direction of armature current both are reversed. See, this is the direction of your armature and this is the same direction is for field. So both are same. If you change any one, then both will be reversed, right? So now this results in production of the torque in the same direction, and therefore no braking torque is produced. For braking torque to be produced, only the direction of current in the field, armature should be reversed and in the field, and it should be just a second students, I just Yes, and it should be remain same. For that connection, as in the diagram 9.40C are made. So the armature current during the period of braking is given by Ia is equal to Eb divided by R plus Ra. The resistance inserted in the circuit should be less than the critical resistance, otherwise the generator shall not be self-exciting. Now, rheostatic braking as applied to DC compound motors. So, in case of DC compound motors, so I mean the rheostatic braking to DC compound motor is applied in a similar way as it is in the case of a DC shunt motor. So, the relationship between braking torque and speed of DC motor during rheostatic braking is determined as below. Now, TB is equal to braking torque, which is proportional to phi into Ia. So if we remove the proportionality constant, what will be introduced? There will be a constant K1 phi into Ia. Now Ia is equal to Eb by R plus Ra, and Tb is equal to K1 phi Eb divided by R plus Ra. Also we know that the back EMF or Eb is proportional to phi into N, which is equal to K2 phi N. Now Tb is equal to K1 phi K2 phi N divided by R plus Ra, which is equal to K1 into K2 phi square divided by R plus Ra whole into N, where R and Ra is equal to constant. Therefore K1 K2 divided by R plus Ra is again a constant, which can be denoted by K3. So braking torque Kb or Tb is equal to K3 phi square N. In case of shunt motors, since flux is constant, therefore torque is proportional to the speed. But in case of a DC series motor, since flux is proportional to the armature current, therefore torque can be determined graphically from the magnetizing curve. Rheostatic braking as applied to induction motor. In case of induction motor, the stator is disconnected from AC supply and is excited to DC source. The field produced is stationary direct current field. The short circuited rotor, when rotates in a stationary field, EMF is induced in the rotor conductors, producing generating action. This results in the braking action as is produced in case of DC motor. In case of squirrel cage induction motor, the braking effect is produced depending upon the resistance of the rotor, but in case of a slip ring type induction motor, the braking effect can be changed by changing the resistance in the rotor circuits. Now students, let us now understand about regenerative braking. Yes, yes. So we will now discuss about the regenerative braking. In the first two methods, mechanical energy of the revolving parts was converted into electrical energy, which was further dissipated in the external resistances. In case of plugging, even energy was drawn during the braking period also and was wasted. So as in the diagram, the shunt machine draws power from supply if applied voltage V is greater than the induced voltage, that is EB. If induced voltage EB becomes greater than the applied voltage, the machine, instead of taking power from the supply, sends back power to the supply, because it is in generating action. Earlier it was in motoring action. Now this can be achieved if the supply voltage T is reduced. The field excitation is increased so that EB becomes greater than the applied voltage. The speed of the motor becomes greater than the no load speed of the motor. In that case, again the value of EB becomes greater than the applied voltage V. Thus, whenever the value of EB becomes greater than V, the direction of current in the armature gets reversed. the direction of field remains the same, the torque produced is in the opposite direction, thus braking effect is produced. When the torque is reversed, the motor tends to stop, thus reducing the speed and thus reducing EB. In order that braking torque is still applied, the field excitation is increased so that EB still remains greater than applied voltage. Thus, it can be possible to obtain regenerative braking down to very low speeds as EB falls tremendously down. And it cannot be increased by the increase in excitation because too much increase in field cannot be obtained. Thus, regenerative braking cannot stop the motor. It can only apply to overhauling loads, which tends to drive the motor at speeds greater than the no load speed of the motor. This can take the place in crane motor due to action of lowering load or in a motor of an electric locomotive down gradient. Now, regenerative braking applied to DC shunt motors. Regenerative braking can be applied easily to DC shunt motor without any change in connection. Figure 9.3 shows the normal working conditions of a DC shunt motor in which case applied voltage is greater than the induced EMF EB and the motor is drawing current from the supply. If due to overhauling loads the speed of the motor becomes greater than the normal, EB becomes greater than B. As a result, armature or the direction of current gets reversed. This feeds back the power supply or the power to supply and produce retarding torque, due to which the speed of the motor comes down. Another method by which EB could be increased by increasing the excitation. Thus, by increasing the excitation, the speed of the motor shall come down since N is proportional to EB and N is inversely proportional to phi. The motor will thus take up reduced speed at a new increased value of excitation. Now, regenerative braking can be easily applied to DC shunt motor, particularly in case where it is required to hold a load at a critical or a certain speed, for instance lowering a hoist. It is not possible to obtain regenerative braking down to very low speeds since a sufficient increase in field current cannot be obtained. Now, regenerative braking applied to DC series motor. Regenerative braking cannot be applied to DC series motor as such because the direction of the current is reversed in the armature for regenerative purpose. The direction of field current also gets reversed, thus the series field connection must be reversed. If series field connection are not reversed, the direction of the field current gets reversed. The original direction of field is as in the diagram. So student, this was all about your regenerative braking. So go through the notes, make a proper notes, and this concludes your syllabus. So thank you for watching.